to Get With the Programming. I'm Chase Ingram.
I'm Captain America.
And along with me is Bill Grumler.
Wolverine.
And I panic clicked and I didn't do the intro.
We were trying to get the under. It was important. Ed was getting all pissed.
Yeah, how many voted under on the 5 minutes? Under on the 5. Hey everyone. The CrossFit Games season fans community is abuzz. Because information on the 2024 CrossFit Games season just dropped. Ed, you're totally right. It's not the prostate, but I did have to take a pee before we. But hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. We are going to talk about the newly released information from the CrossFit Games, and that is all the details. Not all the details.
Right.
Most of the details, we think, of the 2024 CrossFit Games season. They had announced that the finales, as far as the CrossFit Games end destination, we're going to take 4 paths, one for adaptive, one for the teenagers, one for the age groups, and then one for the individuals and teams. And the question was, what about everything else? When is the Open going to start? What's quarterfinals going to look like? How many weeks is the Open going to be? What percentage are they taking to quarterfinals? Who advances to semifinals? Where are the qualifiers? So there's a lot of other details that we didn't have, and now we are going to talk about those details, Bill. And before we get into it, now that we know the date of the Open, it's probably a good time to go to element26.co and start stocking up with some thumb tape, some grips, some weight belts, some knee sleeves, everything you need for the hard-charging 2024 CrossFit Games Open, which is going to start on, I didn't even look at this, February 29th.
Yeah.
It's like 29th.
And even if you're not going to get it for that yet, I mean, we're in the holiday season now. So it's time to start looking at those things, getting those things. You know what I mean? Like Halloween already blew by. We're already, I feel like we're already halfway into November already. Like, what the heck?
Yeah. It's
like we just had daylight savings here, and the whole thing just messed me up. I'm all screwed up this week. It's bad.
Oh, yeah, we had daylight savings. Yeah, we had Halloween. But if you guys want to stock up on everything you're going to need getting ready for the 2024 CrossFit Games season, go to element26.co. That's .co, not .com. Use the code GWTP15 for 15% off all your CrossFit accessories, or I like to say 15% off your next PR.
Dude, that's a good one. They need to take that one.
I mean, I feel like
that was good.
And Bubs, like we've got some pretty damn good slogans that, that just a part of the relationship that we have. And Element 26 has been so great to us since the beginning. I was rocking their thumb tape this morning. I was doing some ring rows, and I realized ring rows are just so much harder than pull-ups.
Dude, isn't that the greatest thing? It's like the best scale, but then you could just mess someone up that has pull-ups, and you go like, oh, okay, let's do ring rows. Oh, that'll be so easy. No, it's not.
Yes.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. No, it's not. But so go to element26.co, use the code GWTP15 for 15% off. Bill.
Do it.
We have new information on the 2024 game season. First gut reaction to the news.
My first gut reaction is that of the Instagram post that was on the CrossFit, what really stuck out in my mind was that she was wearing a Just Show Up shirt.
What?
She's wearing a Just Show Up. I think it's the second of the 19 costume changes.
I would like to... What are you referring to? Is this the games post?
Yeah.
Oh, is this... okay. Let me see this.
It's this one right here.
Becky.
Hey, CrossFit. We would like to tell you some new things about blah, blah, blah.
Here we go. Let me see. There we are. Does she have it? Is she rocking the Just Show Up? Let's see.
Just got to go.
What's coming over here? There's Rogue. All right. New stuff for the Open. Oh,
look
nice.
at that.
Dude, that looks good.
Look at that.
I don't even care what they talked about on this. Look at that Just Show Up shirt.
Yep.
Tie-dye, crop top. Dig it.
It's the same, folks. Forget about what they're saying right here. Just go for that right there.
Go to theogculture.com. It's there.
There it is.
Speaking of stocking stuffers, those socks.
Dude, I cannot wait
The
for
OG
those to get
socks.
here. I
Just
cannot
show up
wait
OG
for
socks.
those to get here.
I saw a pair. I know we demoed the black ones, but I saw some white ones come out.
Yeah.
And like my mowing the grass dad mode kicked in. I was like, fuck yeah. Give me some white crew socks. But all right, Bill. We got some stuff to talk about.
My initial. The first thing that hopped off the page to me was the 25% that makes it from the Open to the quarterfinals.
Okay.
And
the reason being, we have had a lot of conversations about that.
The conversation is about going the other way. It's about going the other way. Like we talked before, it was 10% would advance on, and one of the even stepping back even further from that, we talked about how the Open is supposed to matter, and the bigger you make the quarterfinals, the less the Open matters. And we had 10% that would make it in to the quarterfinals. And then I know that, like, I know Brian Friend did some sort of metric. I think there was a handful of other people that did the metric of seeing just how far the people that actually, of that 10%, who actually went all the way through to go through it. And I mean, so even if you're trying to do a lot of people are talking, okay, well, it's a money call. If you're trying to do a money grab, why are you going to pick people that, I mean, unless, like, did you really get all 10% that actually paid? The answer is no.
It was
3% or something like that, right? So if that's the case, what do you think you're going to get out of that? And the part that makes me freak out about that is the quarterfinal for the age group and for the Open is the same workout now.
Yep.
So here I go the whole time as I'm looking at all this stuff, I go right back to, okay, obviously there is absolutely no thought process about who should be going from one stage to the next stage to the next stage. Because if you're using the Open to say, hey, everyone out there, the widest net we could possibly cast out there to the ethos of fitness people, test your level of fitness. Okay, well, if we are testing the level of fitness, what are you going to do out of 3 workouts, or even if it's 4 workouts? Are you going to put something in there like a ring muscle up that now people can't do? Or are you going to keep it very low skill so that you can have more people be involved because it's only the 3 weeks? You want to keep them all involved. And hey, maybe you get to go to the quarterfinals, because at quarterfinals, you're going to have something. It can't be completely low end skill. But if the individuals and the age groups are doing the exact same, now what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Are those workouts going to be what the Open should have been? I don't know. I just feel like they're just throwing darts and hoping that something sticks. So my initial reaction is like, oh my gosh, on the low end, not so much on the high end, but on the low end. I like the fact that we have more athletes that are getting on the.
Well, let's go stage by stage. We're kind
okay. Let's do that. Let's do
that. We'll come back to the money grab thing.
Right.
I've got some perspective on that. Not like I know. I'm just like my own perspective on that.
Got it.
Let's start. Oh, Nick, what did he say?
Start with 25%.
I don't think they understood, Chase. We want the Open to matter more, not less.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Let's start with the 25%, right? The Open is the Open. It's 3 weeks again. We don't know exactly the number of events they'll program. It could be a 2-parter here and there. I think a 2-parter for one, maybe a
I think they all should be 2-parters now.
Yeah, well,
honestly,
they haven't done a good job of making 2-parters that.
I won't disagree with that.
Okay, so let's focus on this top 25% to the quarterfinals. The biggest thing that I think was talked about the last 2 years when implementing quarterfinals was it's starting to take away from the importance of the Open. So the Open, say up to 2018, qualified you directly to semifinals. The Open was 5 weeks long. The programming seemed to get more difficult as the weeks went on. I think as they arguably should. There is always ways to make a workout more difficult, but still be doable for the majority of the people taking the test by certain ways the programming is structured, tinkered with. Like, there are ways to do. It was always a tough challenge, right? Because the Open had to qualify people to semifinals,
right?
Yet be accessible to a worldwide demographic of all fitness levels, which is why now we have foundations and scaled, which we didn't have back in the day. Then regionals went away, and the Open had two purposes. Well, three, if you want to say. Worldwide fitness participatory event. As we've said on this podcast, as we have decreed this as your annual fitness checkup. That was from us. If you hear that, you know who said that first.
Well, yeah. Well, and then CrossFit even pushes that. This is where you get to test your fitness.
Exactly, right? And it was still 5 weeks long. Therefore, the test was a bit more balanced and appropriate to see where you fit versus a smaller test, which doesn't mean you can't do it. It's just more difficult when you have less events to do it with. Part two was it sent people directly to the CrossFit Games.
Right.
I believe it's the top 20 worldwide men and women went directly to the CrossFit Games. And then after that, that's kind of what it did, because it didn't qualify you to a semifinal. These semifinals, or these sanctioned events, had their own basically qualifiers,
right?
Which was a disaster. And their own programming, and they tried hard with very little help, right? Then the new season structure as of 2021 is Open. They brought in quarterfinals, dropped Open from 5 weeks to 3 weeks. Quarterfinals was technically 3 weekends. It was a team quarterfinal weekend, an age group quarterfinal weekend, and an individual quarterfinal weekend. Then you had semifinals. Then you go to the CrossFit Games. I think we've both said is that we liked a 5-week Open, because when it originally was, is that it was a more broad test to test fitness across the board, to filter people to semifinals, or to give people a adequate, basically, where I am in my fitness journey litmus test. I don't think you can do both, or should do both, of say a 5-week Open and a quarterfinals. I feel like it has to be one or the other. That's just too many weekends. That would be an actual strain on the affiliate. So I think it's a one or the other. I'm just saying where we've been. The problem is with quarterfinals is that taking the top 10% over the last 2 years, it made that was the only purpose, not the only purpose, but the bar of what the Open was dropped significantly, exponentially, to the top end purpose of it, which was to qualify the top 10% of individuals and age groupers to the quarterfinals, and they took the top 25% of teams. And so that effectively basically took the pressure out of the Open, which made the Open matter less.
Yeah.
And now it's a 10%. Now we go to 25%. And the one thing that a lot of people have been asking for was make the Open great again.
Yeah.
It did the opposite, because it's the top 25%. Now it's even easier to get to quarterfinals. Therefore, the incentive base for athletes, even on the bubble of the top 10%, is going. And so that's just where we've come.
And I don't think, and this is where I have a hard time with at some point, somewhere, in one of the offices somewhere, there was a discussion of all the things that people have been complaining about. Even in that Instagram post, they were saying that, you said that you wanted more time to do, and we should have more people. And so we listened.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I just feel like, how is it? I mean, in all reality, the Open and the Games should be our most celebrated events in this space when it comes to CrossFit, because that's the one blending line. And I mean, me and you both have been competitors forever. We've been coaches forever. We're all in on the methodology of CrossFit, but that is the one space where it goes from CrossFit, the fitness program, and CrossFit Sport. And with that being the case, why would you turn something like the Open into something that now really doesn't matter? And it doesn't matter. I mean, it matters way less for anybody. You had the bubble people at the 10%. Cool. What was great about them, because I have a bunch of like the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 percenters in my gym. And so for them, it was cool because they just were trying to squeak in. Not that they thought they were going to the game, but they wanted to squeak in because it meant something for them to make it into that next step.
Yeah.
I know that as you drop down those percentages, there's a drastic decrease in fitness and skill levels as you get down to that point. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't have an opportunity, but what are we like? What is the purpose of that? Like, I wish they would have said, given us some sort of reason how they would have come to this, because as of right now, it just seems like a ton of speculation, and it's very hard to come up with like a good reason why they would do that.
I have some.
Boy, you better send it out, because as far as I can tell, like, I just think it's dumb as shit.
Yeah. So when you guys are all getting these reaction live YouTube shows, there is a podcast with Adrian Bosman on the CrossFit podcast channel for the CrossFit Games podcast, where he goes into more detail about some of those decisions. Question 1, where did the 25% come from? They wanted to create a more uniform, basically season structure of qualification. So for example, as we said earlier, last year it was 10% individuals and age groups, 25% teams. Now they just want a 25% across the board, moving to quarterfinals.
Stupid. That's one. Sorry, dumb. Like as OCD as me and you are when it comes to programming with numbers, that is the dumbest reason to move people. That has nothing to do with what we're trying to do as far as firing up the people that are in this group trying to qualify to the next group, because well, the numbers match. Like, that's it. That's the best you can come up with.
I don't know if that's it, but that's one of.
Come on, dude. You know that that's dumb.
I would have liked to seen less. I'm in that camp.
Right.
Then to the topic of, hey, it matters less to the top. Yes, it does. Then the argument on the other side, but now it matters more to 15% more people in your affiliate. I'm just giving.
Okay, well, as you're giving, I'm going to give the retort to that.
Yes, no, please do.
Because the other 15% that you're talking about, they're hoping that they could make all of the workouts in the 3 weeks or the whatever number of workouts that they're having. Yep. Like, they just want to play. And if if they don't qualify or they're close, like if they're not in the top 10, let's say they're 12%. We usually do the workouts here anyway because they're just kind of fun to do, or we're making it so that people can kind of jump into that. There's ways of doing that.
Yep.
Like, that does not fire. I just don't believe that fires anybody else up to where it's like, yes, I'm so invigorated now to where I want to do, because they lowered it from 10% to 25%. I don't see it.
Yeah. I don't see it either, but we're also different humans than some other people, right?
Okay, hold on. In our chat right now, how many people? We got 55 people in the chat.
Yeah.
Put your percentage of where you were in the Open and tell me if you think that this is important for you. And if it is, cool. Like, I could be totally wrong. You're right. Like, I don't usually hang out in that realm, and that's fine. I have a lot of members that do.
Sure.
Put them up there right now.
I'm not saying that's the case, but
we're looking at our gym right now of 55 people that are watching this podcast, right. And we're going to take a quick poll real fast. Just tell me what you think.
I get it. Alyssa agreed. It feels more like pity. I'm not disagreeing, right? And this comment came up. Let me see if they still have it. This is a part of it, is that with the top 25%, it essentially is the Open and then Open Part 2. That is intentional. They're looking at the quarterfinals as an extension of the Open to a qualifying stage of regionals. It almost feels like quarterfinals, like instead of adding quarterfinals.
Yeah, like, don't even say quarterfinals.
Well, depending on how many events they program, right? Say it's 5. It's typically been 4 or 5, right? It's almost like they took the old format of Open open regionals games pushed it up and then added like a pre-open.
Yeah.
Right? And so they took the old open and condensed it into one weekend with 5 events as our main open now. So now the quarterfinals is like the old open.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of.
This is the first. I'm just speaking as it comes into my brain, so bear with me.
100%.
But with that comment, I was like, "Oh shit!"
Well, dude, I thought about.
We didn't insert the quarterfinals. We just turned the open into a weekend competition of 5 to 6 events to qualify to regionals or quote unquote semifinals. And then we added like a pre-open.
Or just do this, dude. Go back to 5 weeks, and you can have like you have your 3 events for the first 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you are in whatever number that you are on the thing, then you have 2 workouts the next 2 weekends, or you just run it that way the whole time. So if someone wants to play, then they get in there. Then you have your, was that 2, 4, you have your 7 events to get everyone through to whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There are a lot of other ways to do it. I just feel that this particular way, without having 64%.
I love this one. I don't do CrossFit. I just watch for the pros. Also, thanks for being
hell yeah.
Thanks for being on the show.
Totally. That's awesome. I feel that saying that, I feel like making these changes without an explanation of what they think it's going to do. Mm-hmm. It's just like, man, dude. And there have been these changes over the last handful of years, and there have been, I mean, it's honestly a lot of misses. And there was this upward trajectory. I mean, like when we added when the open first came out, everyone was up in arms, and it's like, oh, okay, this is, everyone's gonna freak out. And every time they change everything, everyone freaks out. I get it.
Yeah.
I don't feel that the change is people are freaking out because it's a change.
Uh-huh.
It's like, what is the direction that we're trying to go?
Yeah.
What are we trying to do? To include more people and to be and I don't know if this is a current status of whatever is.
Are you going to say the inclusive?
Inclusive. If we're trying to be more inclusive now.
I actually don't think that's a part of it.
Why would you try to include more people then?
Lido is actually not. I know she said she's joking, but she's actually like spot on. That is a one part of it. Quarterfinals because it's quarter people advance. See what I did there? No, you're right. Actually, that's another reason why.
Still dumb.
It's another reason why. Caroline, I didn't even read it. I'm just going to throw it up there because I love you. Now you have even more athletes affecting the leaderboard of athletes heading to semifinals without video view. Dang.
It's a great comment. She knows what's up. She gets it.
Will they give zeros for athletes who don't do all the workout? I hope so. Not even zeros. I hope. This goes back to my thing is, I think we said this in our top 4 things we wanted.
Right.
In quarterfinals, if you don't do all the events or you get a 0, removed completely from affecting the leaderboard.
Yeah.
I was listening to Brian probably like 30 minutes ago, and him and Halpin did a look at, and we'll talk about, never mind. I'll bring that up. There's some athletes who we'll see as semifinal qualifying spots are reducing in North America and Europe.
Yeah.
That would not have made the cut that went to the games last year.
Right.
Which now will be effective. And this is the point, is like be effective even greater on the quarterfinals leaderboard. Okay.
Yes, those are all the issues.
All these comments.
All the things.
Paulina, what did you say? I bet they'll have a lower percentage of people registering out of the people who have qualified. Probably. But you've already increased. I mean, it was already low to begin with. I love all the meme material. Okay. This topic that I've seen dropped in here a lot is going to be a very popular question. And this gets thrown out a lot, I think sometimes too quickly or irresponsibly. But is the top 25% to quarterfinals a money grab from CrossFit? Here's where I think it's not, is that with the other things they're doing in quarterfinals, it doesn't check out. So yes, more percentage qualifying. What are the three things I said were the reasons behind it? One, to have more consistency of percentages qualifying. Whatever you want to feel about that is fine. I'm just telling you that's one of the reasons. Two is to have the quarterfinals be an extended version of the open with maybe a little leveled up, right? And then three, it's called quarterfinals. Therefore, they take a quarter of the people participating, right? I haven't seen anything to where it was so we can get more people in to get more money. And the reason why I don't think that's the case, or at least one of the top 5 reasons why it's 25, is because what you said earlier is that on the individual side and age group side, they're combining those in one weekend. In years past, it was you can pay, if you qualify for team, age group, and individual, it was $50, $50, $50. Now they're combining individuals and age groups. So if you qualify for both, it's just going to be the same programming for both, and then they'll seed you from there, and it's one registration fee. Why jack up the 25% and then condense that? Like that doesn't, those two things do not, that's not the same thing, right? So like this money grab concept is like, if it was truly focused on money grab, then they wouldn't have combined age groups and individuals. They would have separated. In fact, it'd be make more sense to keep the quarterfinals separate from individuals because of the new things that are happening in semifinals and games for age group athletes.
100%, dude. I am very, very, and I'll say it one more time, very nervous about the programming of what's going to happen on quarterfinal.
Like the topic at hand.
With the payment, then
those two things don't check.
Is the price going up?
I don't know.
If the price is going up, then they just hedged against it.
Like it went from 50 to 75, and it's a combo.
Yeah. Or what is it? What is it now? It's 20. Or what? It's $20 to do the open.
Yeah, the open.
So if they make it $40,
well, that's a different.
They just hedged against. They just hedged against it.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that. I don't know. I know for quarterfinals, Boz said it's basically like a buy one get one. So to me, that says the price is the same. You don't have to pay twice. Quarterfinals, but I don't know any specific numbers yet.
I think they would have gotten a lot more bang for their buck. If they would have concentrated on the number of people, especially like in the age group divisions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they did go up. Would they go up to the semis? Would they cut out of that?
What do you mean?
From quarterfinals to semis for age group?
30.
Huh?
Last year, 30.
Last year was 30.
Yep.
This year is
200.
200. Okay.
They're going back to the old age group online qualifier number. Top 200 in the world in your age group.
I like that one is like, okay, finally. Okay.
I love
that one makes sense. It makes complete sense. It's an online qualifier. You don't need to restrict the numbers down. Like, I mean, I can see having smaller numbers for the in-person. I get it, because you're going to have a lot of things that you're going to have to, a lot of videos that you're going to have to review to get the right people in. But you need to have a big pool for another online competition. So I think that's a good call.
Yeah.
I don't think that fits with the quarterfinals. I don't. And any of those reasons, to me, looking at the history of what has happened, and I'm talking about how many people sign up, how many people pay, how many people complete the quarters in the past years, the percentage of what you're trying to get, that number did nothing. And then to tout it is like that's the first big flag that they're waving. 25%, everybody, we're doing it, and it's like dumb. It makes no sense. Makes no sense.
Yeah. This is a good question. Where is it?
While you're trying to find it, Lido, we have that anyway. To know where you are in the general rankings in the age group, you can look on the big leaderboard, and it shows you where you are compared to everybody else.
Oh, Alyssa. So you're the programming guys. Can they program appropriately for the top 25% and the best elites? The answer is yes. They can. Will they? Another challenge. But the reason why I backlogged what has happened over the last since 2011 of Open, the Open had 5 events that went directly to semifinals, and at one point went directly to the CrossFit Games. If the quarterfinals is 5 events, yes, they can. In fact, I think it'd be actually easier to program a qualifying collection of events to get people to semifinals with 25% taken out of the Open than it was to get people out of the old Open into semifinals.
Oh, yeah.
Arguably, it's actually going to be easier to do. Now, if it looks like last year's, that would be a major mistake. Because you outprogrammed 90% of the people that registered for your competition to begin with. Now we're adding another 15. Right? Can they? Yes. Does it actually make it easier to program for? Yes. And it doesn't need to be like they don't need to do GHD sit-ups and rope climbs and all these things and wall-facing handstand push-ups to appropriately filter people for semifinals. They've done it for years in the old Open, which nobody had a problem with. So yes, they can. Will they? We'll see what the workouts
are. I'm really nervous about. I'm very concerned now what the programming will look like in the Open and in the quarterfinals, because we have the Open, we have this large swath of people that's going to be moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you doing? How are you deciding what workouts to list and have these people compete to move on to the next step? And this is what I keep coming back to. Like, what is the purpose of each one of those stages? And to say that it's just to qualify to the next stage, that is not the correct answer. That's right. Like, it's the same thing as saying that Matt and Tia won because the programming was right and they found the fittest person. That's not correct. With the fact that you're advancing 25%, 15% more people into the quarterfinals now for the Open division and all the age group division is the exact same workout. What did you do to get them out of the Open into that division? Is it all very simple movements out of the Open? Are we now past the idea of the Open is great for the general community of CrossFit because it's that time where you see if you can get your first toe to bar and see if you can get your first double under and see if you can get your first muscle up. Do we move all past that and then that's all now in the quarterfinals? Because we need to make sure that that we have the right stuff that's programmed, the right skills, the right events to get them to go from quarterfinals then into the semis. Like, I mean, like, I just feel like there isn't a good understanding of what each of those stages, what the intent, the true intent that is supposed to move someone from one stage to the next stage to the next stage to the next stage. Yeah, Maggie, is it all going to be shuttle runs and burpees because everyone can do that and there's no skill to it? And do we keep it low? Are we going to are there going to be scaled divisions in the Open and the foundation divisions in the Open?
We already have those.
No, I know we do, but it's like, are the workouts going to be so low skilled?
Well, I think that's projecting something we don't even have to worry about right now.
But I think that understanding who you're trying to move is important. If we're trying to get that big wide net to 25% to either 200 or what do they say now, 40 out of that into semis, like, programming is extremely important about 100%. Who you're moving.
Yeah, I think more important than ever.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, what is the programming like that? And the only way you can program that is to know who you're programming for. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's kind of, I guess, where I'm going with that one.
That's
like
fair.
The type of person that you're trying to get from stage to stage.
Well, that's the no. I mean, out of the Open, it's a little bit different. I mean, I feel like you can do a lot to get. Look, now it makes it even easier in the Open to do programming, in my opinion, to get 25%. Right. It's the quarterfinals programming that I'm even more curious about. and how they do that.
So do you just do the 2007 games for the Open?
No, because there's a lift.
Because there's a lift?
Yeah.
Are you not supposed to lift in the Open?
Not as a one-off. I've said that for every fucking year since 2011.
Well, I understand that, but if we're getting 25%, like, who cares at that point?
Fair.
I'm not saying I guess I'm being more tongue in cheek about that, but it's like to have a well-rounded fitness when you're trying to advance 25%. With 3, possibly 4 events. Man, I just don't know. I just see some. I want to be positive, dude. I really do, but I just have seen so.
I mean, listen, like, be honest with how you feel.
I'm not going to be honest at all. I think it's going to be spectacular and great, and everyone's going to have a fantastic time.
Now, contrary to these idiots, sometimes it's like, I'm not kissing the ring either. I'm just giving information as it comes out.
Oh, no, I get it. But that's the talk, and I think, I mean, dude, we're one of the first, ones on here that's given it. And this is like true first take.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't even had a discussion before we hopped on.
I know.
So,
yeah.
Okay. It's going to be a lot about the quarterfinals, which we've talked about for 30 minutes now. But it's a massive change, mostly because we wanted it to go the other way. Like, we wanted 2.5%.
Like, that's, dude, like, who did they hear that from, that we should have more?
I don't know if it's here. I don't know.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, this was the other thing. I think they said that they were talking about, and I didn't get. I gotta read through the email. I just was looking at the Instagram post, but they said more time to complete the events in the quarterfinals.
Yes, I think an extra day.
Is that what it is?
I think so. Because the quarterfinals, I believe, was like Thursday to Monday, and now I think it's gonna be like Wednesday to Monday. So they get an extra day.
Oh, okay. All right. That's not bad. I didn't know what the time frame was when they said that. I was like, what, are they going to get an extra week to do it? And I'm like, here we go again.
No. Yeah, 2 weeks of it. No.
Right. Okay. I can handle that. I like that.
Thomason asked about programming stuff. This is not really going to be a programming show. We have other things to get to, but it's actually not that hard. It's like you can program toes to bar, wall walks, double unders, rowing, wall ball shots, dumbbell snatches. Like, you can program a bunch of crap. Ascending weights in certain movements. Like, there's so much you can program in the Open that's not, like I said, the Open is not going to be that hard to program for. It's not at all. To get to the top 25%. Top 2.5%, that's harder to do.
Right.
That's harder to do without alienating some people, or majorly alienating some people in just 3 weeks. So it's not the Open programming that's hard. It's going to be the quarterfinals programming that's going to matter the most. Right. You have a larger demographic of people, but it won't be, like I said, it's not going to be unlike the Open was 2011 to 2018.
No. Well, thank God that there aren't any online qualifiers that it's that important.
Right. Okay. Other information outside of the quarterfinals is, we talked about, let's say, age groups. They're now going to take the top 200 in every age division around the world to semifinals. Hallelujah.
I gave you 2 thumbs up on that. See, I gave 2 thumbs up. Way to go, CrossFit.
Hallelujah. Why? Because that's what we used to do. Top 200 in the world went to the age group online qualifier, which used to be the mid stage of Open, what you could call the regionals for the old guys, and then the CrossFit Games. And then last year, or a couple of years, it was since 2021, top 10% around the world went to quarterfinals, and only the top 30 individuals went to their semifinals online, which Bill and I was like, why? It's online. Totally. It's just slide that leaderboard down the spots. Right? And what this does is it opens up more talent and skill sets in different types of athletes into the semifinals, to which you can now program a legit semifinal competition done appropriately, balanced, and all those kind of things, which we've always talked about, to qualify Now, more people to the final stage of the CrossFit Games. 35 to 49, 40 men and women. 50 to 59, 30 men and women. 60 to 65 plus, 20 men and women. More people, more opportunities in their own competition at the end of the season. I really, really like that. It's not top 30 to semifinals and only 10 to the CrossFit Games is ridiculous. And now we have a large body. I'm shocked it was 40. I was like, 20.
Yeah.
But like, what's great? Let's go.
The plus side of having the different venues take those, like the Legends and then Pit Team take those, is it allows you to have you're not struggling with having to worry about anybody else. I mean, you can handle what you can do, whatever heats you want. You can set up however stage, whatever you're setting that you want to be made. So you can do that. It is so 40, 30, 20, right? See, that's not bad. That's not bad.
I love it.
That's not bad.
40 people. That is going to be that's a semifinal. Or I mean, that's the Games. The Games takes 40 men and women. Then the Masters Games is going to take 40 men and women in the lower age divisions in 30 and 20.
Yeah.
Now you're going to see who's actually good. Not like now that you weren't getting who was good then, but it's like it was 10 people. Like there was so much just hit or miss, or now you're out, or like now it's great. I love it. I love the top 200 to semifinals. I freaking love that. Thank you.
That was that piece. That piece right there, honestly, was better than even upping the number at the games for the age groups, I think.
Yeah.
That one piece. I mean, the other one is great too. There is a big difference between, even when they were bringing the top 20, between the top 10 and the bottom 10.
Mm-hmm.
But if the masters are all going to be there, then let them shine. And that's cool. Like if they do that at the games, you have the top 40 at the games for the individuals going. So you could have the same basic type of thing for the age group. So I think that's great. But that 200 is massive, because now you get a lot of athletes and they will all participate.
Yeah.
They want to get in there.
Yeah.
So,
like top 200 out of the Open back in the day was a badge of honor.
Yeah.
And really hard to do.
Right.
So quarterfinals, extra day, 4 to 5 events. We don't know the number. Hopefully it's 5 with maybe a 2-part. Like the more, the better.
Totally.
More, the better. Extra day. Now, it doesn't mean like make it 8, like make it reasonable. Everyone has lives and gyms have to facilitate all this. But the top 200, awesome. And then the top 40, like your chances, like making the semifinals, that's going to be your hardest deal. 25% worldwide getting to the quarterfinals. And now it's the top 200. Fantastic. You're taking it less than the top 1% that are qualifying.
Yep.
Love it. Now, once you're in semifinals, you have a 20% chance of making the CrossFit Games.
Right. Right.
All right. I'm in. We'll see. The 41. This little guy.
Come on, little wing. Come on, little wing.
Come on, little guy.
Come on, little Nemo.
These little roots. Yeah, Nemo. So thoughts on age groups?
Teenagers, I like that.
You're taking 30 and 30 to the pit teen.
Yeah.
Adaptive. I know we haven't touched on adaptive, but like I think the greatest changes they have so far is the adaptive division. Not being a part of the adaptive division, I guess they can speak on it more, but you went from 8 divisions to 15. You went from 8 divisions to 15. Your online semifinals, they're taking 20 in every single one of those divisions, where last year they only took 10 to their online semis. Or last year, you didn't even get a semis. Like your games were done after the Open. So now everybody gets 20, 2 semifinals, and then every division gets 10 to the Wheel Wad Games finale for the CrossFit Games season. 15 divisions, 10 representatives. Last year, for the ones that got to come to Madison, which is just 3 of the 8 divisions, they had 5. So I love this for the adaptive division. Love it.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. We got about 10 minutes here. Quarterfinals for individuals, 2 semifinals, 7 semifinal locations, the same number we had last year, the same regional allocations that we had last year: North America, East, West, Europe, Africa, Asia, I said Pacific, Oceania, South America. Did I skip one? I think I got them all.
No, that was it.
Across the board, 40 men, 40 women, 30 teams, which is 10 more in 4 of the 7 divisions from last year: South America, Oceania, Asia, and Africa. They took 30. Mm-hmm. And 20 less than the what were dubbed super semis from last year, because they took 2 of the 4 semifinals and condensed them in North America, and then 2 in Europe and condensed them into 1, and they took 60. Now it's 40, 40, 30 across the board. Reasons for that: simplicity across the board, uniformity across every semifinal, a lot numbers mimicking what's qualifying to the games. The games is 40 men, women, and 30 teams, which we'll get to in a second for the games. But as our poor John Young was messaging us in the chat, is that if you're North America or Europe, it has now gotten exponentially more difficult to qualify for semifinals, and exponentially even easier to qualify for semifinals in other semifinal regions. But that's the numbers that they landed on, which is not different than what it used to be. But we also had like 13 regions back in the day, or 17.
Well, and then that's when you had, again, if you're going to play that game, you have to think about, okay, what is this going to do? It's going to force people to go somewhere else. And now you have to make sure that your rule book, as far as where you are allowed to be, where are you coming from, what area are you representing? Is it based on your passport, or is it based on where you are currently living, or how long do you have to be there? Like, those things have to be so spot on, because people are going to move. It was like this in the old days, where it was the same across the board. And there were regions that were like the Central East. I mean, it was the Central East, the people that would qualify, they'd have like 5 that would qualify, and all 5 would be in the top 10 at the games. Mm-hmm. So it's like, and I get it. It's the same. They do that, in the Olympics as well. Like, you look at Chinese diving team.
Right. And that's a great example. The Olympics around the world is a set number of qualifiers for every country.
Yeah.
There is, we'll just say US because we're biased and we live here, but it's also hard facts, is that there are probably 4 to 5 athletes in multiple disciplines in track and field and swimming that will be in the top heats at the Olympics if they were allowed to compete, but they're not, because we only get 2 spots,
right,
plus alternates.
Right.
When we could take 8 to 10 and be infinitely more competitive than 100 plus different countries of athletes.
Yeah.
That's just the system.
That's the game. But that's why you also see a lot of athletes are representing other countries at the Olympics, because that's how they have to be able to go and qualify. So, I mean, we're going to see a shuffle. Because of that, we're going to see a shuffle, or we're going to see a lot of individuals that are going team.
Yeah. Which I don't think that number changed. The team number didn't change. I think it's been 30.
Right. But I mean, athletes going from individual to team, you know what I mean? Because like, if they want to go, that's going to be tough. Zhang Young is now from Mongolia. That's funny.
Yeah.
There are going to be a lot of athletes who don't make it.
Yeah. And so, for example, Brian Friend was talking about this. I think Bethany Flores doesn't make semifinals if they just cut the line at 40. Yeah. The biggest name was Yella Hosta doesn't make semifinals.
How crazy is that?
Yeah.
That dude's been on a tear lately.
Right. Now, the caveat there is that would they have competed differently had they had known they had to be that,
still.
If fans, but it's still interesting of note is that there are people who qualify the games. I think, Rebecca Vidison was another one. 3 or 4 athletes that were at the games and had the success of like a Yella Hosta wouldn't. I mean, think of what he did for himself, making a name for himself at semifinals.
Totally.
Not in the CrossFit Games. comes out and wins 3 events.
Right.
Some like big, tall, ginger rookie just out here just wrecking shop in the against these like Euro dudes who have been here for a decade.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But I'm indifferent. I can say that because I'm no longer in contention to be any of these human beings. I'm sure it's, you talk to some games athletes or some perennial semifinal athletes, like that's a big blow. You reduced your semifinal chances by 33% in North America and Europe.
Well, I mean, the hard thing, it doesn't matter what you do. Whenever you drop the line somewhere, it's always going to fall on somebody. Remember when they went from like our regions to the super regions?
Mm-hmm.
It was the same type of thing where it was like, okay, I could make my regional, but now that it's the super regional, I can't make it because there are too many good athletes from Northern California or something like that I'm not going to be able to qualify in. Whereas if it was just our people, I'd be able to make it in. I mean, I get it. It's always tough. You would hate to see someone. It's one thing if you're going to make it in and not necessarily be a contender at the games. Not that you can really say what's going to happen one way or the other, but you want the best people to make it. And even though someone that may be at the top 10-ish, or maybe like 10 to 15, but they can't qualify because they have too many other good people in their region. I mean, that's just how sports work sometimes, I guess.
Yeah. I always default to that, sports. Everybody wants it to be a real sport till we start treating it hard rules like real sports. Like, well, fuck. I don't want this to be a participatory bullshit event in the open and quarterfinals, but I would like
let me participate. But I want to participate.
You got to be consistent there. It's like asking for workplace equality, but only in the C-suite positions, not construction. It's kind of the same thing. If we're being honest here.
We're being honest.
I don't see a lot of people fighting for those plumbing jobs. That fucking, C-suite position. Just that, I would like to share some of that. But, and then the last big thing that may be flying under the radar a little bit is teams qualifying to the CrossFit Games. Last year, 38 teams out of semifinals made the CrossFit Games. This year, only 30 do. Now, there are big things in here that we don't yet know. We don't know the dates of the semifinals, the locations of the semifinals, the price of the open, the price of the quarterfinals. We don't know how games qualifying spots are going to be allocated like they had last year with the strength of field and the DeHunt method on how they disperse those, which is going to be even a greater probably pain point now that you've reduced the major qualifying semifinals to less. It'd be weird as like, well, North America East gets 19 athletes to there. But 8 less teams will now be qualifying to the CrossFit Games this year, which is, 38 to 30, that's almost 25%.
Yeah, that's a big cut.
Big cut. Which, if you've ever gone to the CrossFit Games, you could probably shave off another 10.
It's true.
No disrespect.
They get knocked out by attrition and injuries.
No disrespect.
But still,
I'm just giving you guys facts. I don't really have one opinion other than like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Less teams. Okay. Yeah. Some would argue no teams, but I'm not in that camp.
Yeah.
Yet. Hurtful. It depends. I've said a few hurtful things in the last 60 seconds. Are you talking to me as a games team athlete or as a woman? Because depends. All right. So that's it. That's it in a nutshell, at least in the hour that we have with you guys. We do appreciate you guys rolling with us. Big takeaways here is the Open's going to start February 29th. It'll stay 3 weeks. We don't know how many events will be during that time. The quarterfinals qualification has raised from 10% across the board to 25% for Indies, age groups, teams. I believe the same thing and then 20 individuals for adaptive because they'll go directly to their semifinals. Right. After quarterfinals, the semifinal allocations for men and women will be 40 apiece in all semifinals I know we do need another hour, and then 30 teams. We don't know the number of qualifying spots per semifinals. I'm sure that information will be coming out. I believe they said the rule book will be coming out December 6th.
Dude, I cannot wait to see what that does.
I'm excited to see that. And the open registration will be, they push it back to January again. I know last year was like right around this time, but January 9th, I believe, is when you can register for the open. And we'll go from there. But a lot of feelings out there, a lot of reactions. Opinion your reactions away. Drop how you guys feel here in the comments with us on YouTube. Send it to us on our Get With The Programming Instagram handle. And we'll all get through this together.
We will. We'll make it.
We'll get through this together.
We'll make it.
But, we appreciate you guys rolling with us. Your opinions, your reactions, good or bad. Personal, not personal. We get it. We understand. We're there with you. We're in the trenches just like you guys are. We're not over here just like two marionettes just puppeteering anything. We are part of we are part of it with you guys. So thank you guys for your time. Happy Wednesday. Bill and I are shooting to be back tomorrow. Maybe we'll have some new information on this, but what do you want to do tomorrow? We need to do the WASA team qualifiers.
I know we need to do that. Well, let's see how this stuff kind of figures out. We may need to come back once people start talking about things and it's like new ideas or whatever. But
we will be back tomorrow with a topic of our choosing. But thanks for rolling with us, guys. Appreciate you guys. And I didn't hit fucking record on the Rodecaster, so I guess I'm going to take this from Restream.
There you go.
Way to go, Chase. Way to go. All right, team. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. See you tomorrow.
Bye.